whatever. But actually, public transports, I believe, is one of the most important things in people's lives and society's lives. It's what makes a society thrive sometimes, because when you look at the access to mobility, people can get to the job, they can travel around, they can, it's a part of the economy and the well-being of society. So that is something that is often forgotten. But thank you very much for pointing it out and also talking about the history. And obviously, you talked about how it influenced, the history in the United States. So another thing that I really want to discuss as well is public transports is obviously often or always regulated by, the government. However, the government sometimes lags behind when it comes to using data to make policy choices, or when it comes to innovation. So, where do you think we need to find the balance to be able to be a step ahead and to be innovative in the public transport landscape? Because I believe, at least in Belgium, because that's where I have the experience, public transport has been lagging behind a little bit with the innovation and with using data to provide a solution that fits with the modern day needs. I know you have a lot of experience with that, also in the MaaS department. So that's why I really want to dig deeper on this subject as well, the subject of innovation. And I want to have your opinion on that. But I also want to see, I don't only want to discuss the problems, I also want to hear a little bit about you, what you think about the possible solutions that we can do. So I think, can you hear me?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
So I think COVID has provided an opportunity. Yeah, yes, yes. So I think COVID has provided an interesting opportunity, or it's forced the hand of public transport authorities to now start thinking multimodal. Whether they wanted to before COVID or not, we're starting to see public transport authorities be a bit more open for embracing other private shared mobility services, which is very interesting. So that is one positive outcome. It's not a problem, but it's an interesting trend we're seeing right now. And with that, I see that with public transport and the digitalization of the services, whether it's through GTFS or other data standards, we're seeing an interesting shift right now towards open APIs, as well as the ability to share either fixed schedules or real-time information between MaaS platforms, and then basically be able to collaborate with shared mobility providers. So we see a more of a leveling off effect, where I would say public transport is being forced, certainly here in Europe, to move away from that kind of centralized monopolistic model, which is very fixed and rooted in the status quo. And it needs to think much more on a user customer centric perspective and less just about counting passengers. So it needs to think about the quality it brings to the ecosystem, not the quantity.
Exactly.
And that
Exactly.
changes the entire reporting of its key performance indicators, the KPIs. So what is it going to report on right now? They're going to be focused on the accessibility of their services and the quality of their service, not just the amount of riders they transport. And that ties into this whole concept of the multimodal journey. So not thinking of public transport in a silo as one mode or
Yeah.
as one domain completely segregated from other modes, but thinking of how the other modes can complement and enrich their service through a network effect. And that could be either through a MaaS platform, or it could be through many different digital channels. But you have to think of the digital infrastructure, this layer that enables public transport to deliver better mobility access to its inhabitants. And I think that's one area of an interesting opportunity that PTAs are starting to explore and to consider right now. I'm not saying every one of them is, but many are just simply being forced to remain competitive and to better think about kind of this post-COVID landscape.